I first started making my own wooden lures. It was about 2003. I went on to one of the online websites, stripe-bass.com, and I found the Plug Builders forum. I'd never turned a plug or built a plug in my life, but seeing some of the work that the guys were turning out, I became curious, and I was very impressed with some of the stuff that they were making. And I started to give it a shot. I picked up a used lathe, and a lot of the guys on the site were very generous with their information and their help. And over the next few years, I started making some plugs and started fishing them. The learning curve was shortened quite a bit due to all the help that they gave me. But I got really into it and kind of anal retentive about it. I like to make a pretty plug, but more importantly, I like to make a plug that catches fish. That was about it. I was seeing guys like John Habs and Dave McLeod, Mac, and geez, the list goes on. Don Gamelli, who's a good friend of mine from After Hours, we became quite close, and he makes a beautiful plug. I just went from there, and as far as inspiration for some of my paint, I started out with rattle cans, but I wasn't really happy with the results. Some guys are really gifted with a rattle can, but I wasn't one of them. So I tried an airbrush, and was a big fan of builders like Bernsey and Ryan Smith, Steve Franciscan from Troublemaker, very gifted guys with an airbrush. They just do clean, beautiful work, and that was what I aspired to. I make several different styles of plugs. I make a 3-ounce Danny, I make a 2-ounce Danny. I don't have any of the 2-ounce Dannies with me, but these are the 3-ounce Dannies. They're approximately 6 1/4 inches long, 3 ounces in weight. I make them in a few different variations, 2 belly trebles and a flag on the tail, or just a single belly treble and a tail treble, depending on preference. I make them with eyes. I make them blind, and I started doing this unique little gill slit. It's simply a bandsaw cut on both sides, just to kind of give it a little more realism, and it helps me when I'm painting. Gives me a good color break for the heads and the scale pattern. People seem to like it. I think it's unique, and doesn't really affect the action of the plug at all. But I do that on a couple of different styles of plugs, the Danny plug and the Prey plug. This is the Prey. It's a 2.3 ounce swimmer, 6 inches long, 3 ounce trebles, and this is one of my most popular plugs. People seem to do quite well with it. I always have. I've been fishing this plug and building it for, I think, about 5 or 6 years now. That's my best producer. Personally, that's my favorite color right there, is the bunker. Day or night, I do quite well on that color. But I make a bunch of different pencil poppers. I make 4 different size pencils from 1 ounce to 1 3/4 to 2.5 ounce. I make a Canal Special, the flat bottom pencil. And I just started making, this is my 2.5 ounce pencil with a double shot of lead, so it actually weighs 3 ounces. And the guys have been doing quite well with these down at the canal. I make some smaller swimmers. Flathead minnow, I don't think I have one here. I'm working on a Blue Streak copy. That's still in the testing process. My most popular plug is the Prey swimmer. This is a 6-inch swimmer, weighs 2.3 ounces. Very effective top water swimmer, particularly in boulder fields, Works great in sandy beaches. Swims right on top, nice tail wag on the top. Casts quite well for a swimmer. It doesn't have that end over end wobble when you cast it. You can get these in hard current. They hold quite well. I fish these down the canal quite a bit, the Cape Cod Canal, and they hold real good in a hard current. Funny story about how I came up with this design was the Boston Globe had come to my house to do a piece on man caves. So while they were there, they were photographing while I was turning some plugs, and this is the shape I came up with as they were photographing the piece. Once they left, I looked at the body. I liked the way the shape looked and thought it would make a great surfster style lure. So I finished machining it. I drilled the eyes, the belly swivels, the belly weight holes, and the through holes, and the lip slot. And I outfitted a naked body, no paint, no primer, no sealer. And I took it to a local beach near my house to give it a try, and right off the bat the fish were climbing all over it. So I knew right away I had a winner. It was no fluke. It wasn't a one-time thing like there was fish blitzing everywhere. It was a immediate pick of fish up to about 15 pounds, and they were really on the action. They were following it right into the jetty I was fishing off of. So I was really pleased with the way it performed, and I started making a few more and fishing them myself, and friends were asking, you know, where they could get them, and I started making more and more, and eventually I started selling them at a few local shops. One of the things I find particularly important when working any plug, not just my own plugs, people don't seem to pay enough attention to retrieve speeds. And I've learned from a few guys that taught me well. One of the things they told me to focus on was changing my retrieve speeds, which when I first started fishing plugs, I really didn't pay too much attention to it at the time, but they instructed me to change my retrieve speeds, moderate between slow to medium to fast, find out how the fish like the plug presented to them, and that seemed to help me quite a bit. And that goes for swimming plugs, not just top water poppers and spooks. Swimmers sometimes can be worked a lot faster than one might think. A lot of your most successful fishing takes place as you're fishing them slowly. But if you speed your retrieve up a little bit, sometimes it tends to attract the fish a little bit. Another little trick I noticed with some of my metal lip swimmers is I see fish following them in quite a bit, but they're not striking, and they'll follow it right up to my feet till I lift the plug out of the water. A little trick I found out was to give the rod tip a hard twitch and cause that plug to jerk a little bit, and 9 out of 10 times that'll instigate a strike. The best color seller, personally, I would guess is probably yellow. Anything yellow over white. This is a yellow over white with red gill slits painted on. This season, that's a pretty popular color. I think yellow over white in general is probably one of the best producers. Most people will tell you anything black and purple, or yellow and white, best producing colors, and there may be quite a bit to that. But I believe, as far as color choice goes, it's preference depending on the fisherman. They're going to fish, they're going to buy and fish whatever they're comfortable with. If they think that that this green silver scale looks good to them, they're going to feel comfortable fishing it. And if they're comfortable fishing the plug, more than likely they're going to increase their hookup ratios.